I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't nervous, so I didn't really have too much adrenaline. It was just getting comfortable. That's all it is. Plenty of games before, like I was nervous, but I felt like I knew the answers to the test. So it's like when you feel unprepared, then, you know, when you don't feel like you're ready for the moment. I know I'm ready for the moment. Did I play up to par? No, I don't feel like I did. But overall, the main goal was to win. And that's honestly what we did.
The Panthers front office thought they had their franchise quarterback locked down with Bryce Young. But after watching Shedeur Sanders absolutely tear apart defenses in his NFL debut, there's a cold panic spreading through Carolina's war room. While Young managed just 12 snaps and looked ordinary against basic defensive schemes, Sanders was out there dropping dimes like he'd been doing it for years. 14 of 23 for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns that had even LeBron James taking notice. From the sidelines, the writing is on the wall, and it's not looking good for the former #1 pick. What we witnessed wasn't just a preseason game. It was a changing of the guard that has NFL executives questioning everything they thought they knew about. These two quarterbacks. Look, I'm going to be straight with you guys. What happened last night wasn't supposed to happen. The Panthers had everything mapped out perfectly. Bryce Young was supposed to come in, show flashes of the player they drafted first overall, and remind everyone why Carolina believed in him enough to build their entire franchise around his arm. Instead, they got a front row seat to watching their worst nightmare come to life. And that nightmare? It goes by the name of Shedeur Sanders. You see, while Bryce was out there playing it safe, completing a modest 4 of 6 passes for 58 yards, Sanders was putting on a clinic that had veteran NFL analysts doing double takes. We're talking about a 5th-round pick who just walked into his first professional game and played like he owned the joint. The difference wasn't just in the numbers, though those numbers tell a pretty damning story. It was in the presence. The poise, the pure confidence that screamed, "I belong here," while Young's performance whispered, "I'm still figuring this out." Here's what the Panthers brass doesn't want you to know. They've been watching Sanders' tape obsessively since the draft. Sources close to the organization have been telling anyone who'll listen that there were serious internal debates about whether they made the right call sticking with Young. After last night's performance, those whispers have turned into full-blown conversations behind closed doors. But let's break down exactly what happened that has Carolina's front office sweating. Bullets. Sanders stepped onto that field and immediately looked different. Not nervous different, not overwhelmed different, elite different. His first drive of the game, 3rd and 9, most rookies would have panicked under the rush. Instead, Sanders calmly evaded pressure like he'd been doing it in the NFL for years, and scrambled for a first down. That's veteran composure from a guy who's supposed to be learning the ropes. Compare that to Bryce Young's night. Sure, he completed 4 of 6 passes, but let's be honest about what we saw. Those were safe throws, check downs, the kind of plays that don't lose games, but don't win them either. Meanwhile, Sanders was threading needles and making throws that had even the Panthers' defensive backs nodding in respect.
I was extremely impressed. Shedeur Sanders was comfortable and confident. You saw him stand in the pocket and take hits and deliver strikes. Some of the throws that he made popped and jumped off of the screen. They were veteran-type plays. He looked like a vet. He did not look like a rookie. What also impressed me was his ability to use his legs. He did not show that in college at Colorado. So for me, the level of development and growth for Shedeur Sanders and calmness on the sideline stood out more than anything else.
So, Jeremy, based on what you've heard out of Bryce,
y'all saying my name is Willie B, man. Hey, he the real deal.
Real deal. That's coming from Willie.
That's coming from Willie. Hey, now how y'all feel now? How y'all feel now? No matter what he do, how you feel now? That man playing for his daddy. All you haters, if you hate Shedeur, you hate football. How can you not love that story? Deion Sanders. Absolute legend, icon. Now
The most telling moment came when Sanders faced a 4th and 1 situation. Most rookies would have taken the safe route, maybe handed it off or thrown a quick slant. But not Sanders. He emptied the backfield and tried to make something happen. Yeah, they didn't convert, but the audacity, the confidence to even attempt that kind of play call. That's the difference between a game manager and a game changer. And here's where it gets really interesting. Recent reports from Browns training can't paint a picture of a quarterback who's been methodically working his way up the depth chart. Just days ago, Sanders was dealing with arm soreness and missed some team drills, but sources inside the organization say that was more about managing his workload than any serious concern. The kid's been throwing 3 touchdowns in practice sessions and catching the attention of everyone from coaching staff to veterans. What's even more impressive is how Sanders has been handling the media circus. He specifically told his famous father, Deion Sanders, not to visit training camp yet because he wants to earn his spot without any distractions. That level of maturity and focus? That's exactly what you want to see from a franchise quarterback. Meanwhile, Bryce Young is still trying to prove he belongs in conversations with the elite quarterbacks in this league. But here's the kicker that has Panthers fans losing sleep. Sanders isn't just outplaying expectations, he's making throws that Young has struggled with throughout his entire NFL career. Remember, Young was benched early in the 2024 season because he couldn't handle NFL pressure. He turned things around in the second half of last year, but last night exposed the same old problems.
Overall, I felt like me out there.
Browns' 2025 preseason debut is in the books. Cleveland, a 30-10 winner here against Carolina. It's the Browns' first preseason win, dating all the way back to week 1 of the 2022 season. The buzz all week entering was the pro football debut of Shedeur Sanders. Sanders did not disappoint. All the questions surrounding him. Could he operate an NFL offense, which he didn't have to do at Colorado? Could he stay off the field? One of the most sacked quarterbacks in college football history. Shedeur sacked just twice, which equaled the number of touchdown passes he had to Caden Davis. In many ways, Shedeur Sanders exceeded the small expectations maybe this coaching staff had. Kevin Stefanski said, hey, just go out there and operate the offense. I think most would agree Shedeur Sanders did way more than that in his pro football debut. A quarterback rating of 107, those 2 touchdown passes, and most importantly, did not turn the football over. Is this going to vault Shedeur Sanders up the Browns' depth chart? Maybe not. But going into next week with 2 joint practices and a game against the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles certainly makes things interesting.
The field thing. So I felt like we understood each other's rhythm, and what ideally we was all trying to accomplish tonight.
The accuracy that Sanders displayed wasn't a fluke. This is a quarterback who led the entire country in completion percentage last year at Colorado. We're talking about pinpoint precision under pressure, the kind of accuracy that translates immediately to the professional level. When you watch Sanders release the ball, there's a confidence and timing that usually takes years to develop. And let's talk about that play-action rollout, where Sanders threaded a beautiful pass downfield. That wasn't a rookie making a lucky throw. That was quarterbacking at its finest. The footwork, the vision, the arm strength to make that throw while rolling to his left. That's the kind of play that separates good quarterbacks from great ones. The Panthers coaching staff has been publicly supportive of Bryce Young, but privately, sources say there are growing concerns about his ceiling. Young has all the tools, the arm strength, the intelligence, the work ethic, but something's missing. That it factor that Sanders displayed in just 1 preseason game. What makes this even more painful for Carolina is the timing. They've invested everything in Young's development. New offensive coordinator, new weapons, an entire system built around maximizing his potential. But talent evaluation in the NFL is ruthless. And when you see a 5th-round pick immediately outperform your franchise cornerstone, it raises uncomfortable questions. The numbers from last night tell the story, but the eye test tells an even more damning one. Sanders looked comfortable in the pocket, stepped up under pressure, and made throws with anticipation and timing. Young, despite his sharp performance according to some reports, still looked like he was thinking too much instead of just playing. Here's what really has the Panthers worried. Sanders is only getting started. This was his first taste of NFL action, and he looked this good. Meanwhile, Young is entering his 3rd season and still fighting to prove he can be the answer. The trajectory isn't in Young's favor, and everyone in that building knows it. The Browns, meanwhile, are sitting pretty. They drafted Sanders in the 5th round as a developmental project, and he's already exceeded every expectation. With Joe Flacco entrenched as the starter and Kenny Pickett dealing with hamstring issues, Sanders has a clear path to significant playing time. And if he continues developing at this pace, Cleveland might have accidentally stumbled onto their franchise quarterback of the future. But let's get real about what this means for both franchises moving forward. The Panthers are stuck. They can't abandon Young after investing so much, but they also can't ignore what they're seeing from other young quarterbacks around the league. Sanders' performance was just the latest reminder that talent can be found anywhere in the draft if you know what to look for. The pressure is now squarely on Bryce Young's shoulders. Every throw, every decision, every game will be scrutinized against the backdrop of what Sanders is accomplishing in Cleveland. That's not fair to Young, but that's the reality of being a first overall pick in the NFL. Recent analysis from training camps around the league suggests that Sanders has been impressing veterans and coaches with his preparation and football IQ. He's been arriving at the facility at 4:35 a.m. every morning, bringing teammates with him, showing the kind of leadership qualities that can't be taught. Meanwhile, reports suggest Young is still working on consistency and decision-making under pressure. The most damning evidence might be the reaction from neutral observers. NFL analysts who watched both quarterbacks play were notably more impressed with Sanders' debut than Young's solid performance. When you're a former first overall pick and you're being outshined by a fifth-round rookie, that's a problem that goes beyond statistics. Looking ahead, both quarterbacks have more preseason opportunities to make their case, but the early advantage clearly goes to Sanders. He's playing with house money. Every good performance is a bonus. Young is playing with the weight of franchise expectations and a ticking clock on his development timeline. The truth is, football is about more than draft position and pedigree. It's about who can perform when the lights are brightest, who can make the throws that matter, and who can lead a team to victories. Based on one preseason game, Sanders looks like he has those qualities in abundance. So here's the million-dollar question that has Panthers fans staying up at night. What if they were wrong about Bryce Young? What if the real franchise quarterback from this quarterback class was sitting there in the 5th round, waiting for someone smart enough to see his potential? The scary part for Carolina is that it might already be too late to find out. The writing is on the wall, folks. While the Panthers are desperately trying to convince everyone that Bryce Young is still their guy, the rest of the NFL just watched Shedeur Sanders announce his arrival in the most emphatic way possible. This isn't just about one preseason game. It's about the future of two franchises heading in completely different directions. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because this quarterback controversy is just getting started, and you don't want to miss what happens next when these two face off again. Let me know in the comments. Are the Panthers panicking for good reason, or is it too early to crown Shedeur Sanders? The debate starts now.